It's me. Oh, I'm trying to like, I wonder if this has the capability of zooming in without me just like, dropping my camera down really low. Drop it low, baby. I've only got the one panel done, but this is probably the last page of this particular comic. Let's pop it back up again just for a second. I wonder if there's a way to refocus things. I'm going to make a bubbles layer, rename bubbles, Bubbles, boom, 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 and choose the technical pen. I'm having a pretty interesting day today, I'll tell you what. All right, how are we going to make this do the speech bubbles? That would be creating a tangent. I don't know if I did it right there. The thing about comics, and I mention this every time, is you're not really trying to create impressive art. You're trying to create a story that is supported by art. And the art can be really good, and it should be as good as you can make it without sacrificing the story or knocking yourself dead. Which a lot of people do that. They just like they try to draw at the limits of their capability, and then they burn themselves out, and they wonder, how are people able to do this? You got to pull back a little bit if you're wearing yourself out. All right, I'm gonna do one of my favorite tricks when we've switched scenes or we're introducing a new chapter. Take out that first initial right there. So instead of saying later, now it says aider. And then we're going to put in a block cap supported by a little black spotlight. There we go. Pretty cool, right? In this first panel, we have Perseus and Balin leaving the manse, or the mansion as I called it. Better be on the right. I'm on the right one. Okay. And we're going to try and hide two panels inside this panel border. So I'm going to make a longer version of the panel border. There we go. And then we're going to go for it. I got a little bit of a problem, is that I'm crossing over onto this little window thing on the door. And that's creating the potential of a tangent. Or it's at least tangenty if it's not a tangent. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to just try and shove it down a little bit. Make it a little bit lower. And that's less of a tangent right there. I hope. I hope. Some days you find out that the jerks of injustice can be met by the kicking foot of, I don't know what. What am I trying to say here? Maybe it's the jerks of malevolence meet with the kicking foot of destiny. Every once in a while, somebody gets exactly what I kind of deserve. And I always wonder. I'm never involved, just so you know. Alright. It bothers me a little bit because we're going to come super close to his eye line. I don't know if I like it. What I might end up doing is taking this entire panel and just dropping it down about 1/4 inch. So let's see what it looks like. Yeah, covering up his head like that is just not great. So let's take this whole thing. We're going to go and grab rectangle fold. I want to make sure I'm in the ink layer. I am. And we're going to drop the whole thing down. We're not going to actually change anything. Just going to drop it down. I still want to be able to see my little... I like my little backpack decoration. But like as far as like the essential elements of information going on in this panel, yeah, losing a 1/4 inch like that, that's not too bad. All right. Now let's just take this and get rid of it. So another way you can fix that is you can resize the information in the panel. It's not as good of a fix, because if you resize things and you aren't very careful and you don't have, it's got to be on the bicubic setting and you got to be real careful. You can get distortions if you don't resize very carefully. Even if you choose completely uniform resizing, just the way anti-aliasing works, it can cause a problem. It's at least potentially a problem. Like it'll leave it blurry or, with little pixel artifacts in the places that you don't want it to have. All right. But how's this? I think this is okay. Let me get back my fountain inker. Boom. We could even do the rest of this, the staff. We could even... And nobody is the wiser. Well, probably an experienced cartoonist could figure out what I did there. All right, so there's like a little glass plate on the inside of this window, so let's just sort of draw that in. Maybe it's like a... Does anyone ever see one of these and it's like an X pattern? Something like that. And then to make it look like glass, we'll just put a couple of lines there. It's looking okay. That's looking okay. It's not looking like the worst thing I've ever drawn. Tones will make this pop a little bit more. I mean, we'll be able to see the different, we'll be able to set this character off in the background more. We might even put some drop shadows in to give it more environment, but I think that's okay. Look at that. All right, now, first big question on the second panel. I do want to do this area completely as a silhouette, but the characters I'm thinking I won't do as a silhouette. Or if I do them, I'll do them just maybe heavily shadowed, but not completely in shadow. We could do, this is supposed to be like a planter. We could do what's in Wollywood, like on the Wollywood 23 panels that always work. The diagram panel, D-I-A-G-R. Like, I'm not sure what that really means. Like, I look at it and it's it has two characters. And there's two characters. Now, in this version, they're looking at each other, but they're drawn very simplistically. So I don't know if the D-I-A-G-R, if it's diagram or what. Does it stand for the simplicity of the drawing, or does it stand for the pose or whatever else? Different teachers I've asked about it have interpreted it different ways, and perhaps the only one who knows is either Wollywood himself, who is no longer with us, or Larry Hama, who is the guy who put it all together. Larry Hama was his art assistant. All right, I'm trying to... I want to get this gargoyle dog silhouette just right. Okay. Hey, shout out to any new subscribers, or maybe you saw me subscribe to you and you're like, who is this guy? I'm just a guy who wants to draw comics and sketchbook. I followed a lot of sketchbookers. I've especially in the last couple of weeks, I've been really getting into it. I've been getting into my sketchbook a lot. I just did a recent sketchbook tour that I completed. I'm a little worried about. I'm about to try and flood fill this area here. Okay. Can it be done? Damn it. Okay, let's try it again. I was talking to my sister last night about stuff. We were talking about ink and stuff. I just sent her some ink for her birthday. I sent her actually a fountain pen and ink and a converter. I'm not sure if she's going to be into fountain pen stuff, which I'm totally into, but to hedge my bets, I also sent her a glass dip pen and like an ink sampler because those everybody loves those. Hey, did that work or what? It worked. All right, let me explain a little bit about what's going on story-wise in this panel and why this is hopefully going to work. Okay, whoops. We gain some distance from the characters, but all of this area out here, this negative space, is thinking space, right? So they're thinking about stuff. And I have Perseus even saying, give me a second. So he's saying he's thinking, but he's saying it without saying it, right? I think that's good. Okay, that's the order it is. Let's take a look at it without the pencil layer. Yeah, I think that works. All right, so now as far as the characters go, we're going to do the characters as if they're drawn, but we might do them either heavily in shadow or just drawn very simply. You know, thin outlines. In fact, I might even pop them out with a micro nib. Micro nibs, they say. All right, here we go. There's the outline of his backpack. I'm kind of proud of this dude's backpack. You see the little decoration I put on the back there, like an applique. I don't know if they had those in the medieval realms of D&D, but in my world they do. All right. The reason I'm not doing this in silhouette, I think it would still be probably okay in silhouette, but it's overused, right? I've already done it. If I do it here, and I've already doing it with him, I'm going to do it twice more here, although it's pretty subtle on the back here. But anyways, in case you're wondering, once again, negative space, all this up here, it's got to be left open. Negative space is thinking space. And you can get even more negative space. We could get even more by erasing the panel border. Whoops. Like just opening up, suddenly the whole page becomes thinking space. The first time I figured this out, and I can't even take complete credit for it because it was Man of the Atom who pointed out to me, this is what I think when I see this panel. This is one of the first comics I did, and I didn't do a great job with it. Where is it? Eel. This one. Believe it or not, this is an open. See, there's no border down here, and he's basically just been threatened by this mafia guy, this character here, and it was going to be just completely wordless. This is one comic I never actually finished, or I finished it, but I never published it. And he's just left holding the phone. And somebody said, this makes me feel like this is, you can see that he's completely alone here. And then immediately afterwards I had a reaction. He just runs for it. He's taking off his apron. This is real early in my trying to figure out comics. I didn't know how to do consistent faces. Still hadn't figured out things like noses, like how to draw a nose. You're probably laughing at that. All right. Take away layer 2. Yeah, I think it works by having this sort of blank, almost kind of like a open line drawing. He becomes symbolic, right? It's almost like a reverse, what they used to call a white bende shadow, which is like a reverse shadow. Also seen in Wally Wood's 23 panels that always work. Okay, he's got a bag and he's cut it over one shoulder. It's on his right arm. This is his right arm. Okay, so it's this. Just want to make sure I get it right, and then I got to make sure his hand is correct. Anyway, if you do all this stuff right, you know, the secret is not to do these just jaw-dropping illustrations everywhere. You got to get enough. I'm looking at my hand now. He's holding the spear. I think that his hand should come around like that. Okay. You know, to the point where you're getting the story across. Oh, a case in point. And this is a great example by aka Pad, Peter A. DeLuca. I gotta get like one of those names. Like Sideburns calls his subscribers sidekicks. Hello, sidekicks. And Peter DeLuca says, who is aka Pad, says he calls his subscribers aka Padders, which is funny. Anyways, I'm not cool enough to have any of those cool names. I don't know what I would call anybody who subscribed to this channel. The few and the proud. That's what I would call you. Few and the proud. Comics lovers. Ooh. Made some decisions here on these feet. I'm not sure I got them quite right before, but I know I'm going to do them like this now. I want him to do these kind of long feet. I was trying to figure out the digitigrade foot shape for the rodent. Like I can do it for a lion or a wolf or a horse, you know, like in Beast Rangers. I was doing it for all kinds of different species, but I never had to do it for like a little rodent kind of character, so. Even though there was a mouse character in there, you never saw him from the legs down, from the waist down. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, I think that works. Like, it's going to show that these guys are, with these guys kind of outlined in white. And then this gives us like one last look at the manse, or the mansion. And we can see all the stuff that they're leaving behind. Although the dog is going to come with them too. But there's the cauldron. All right, let's bring it up. Anyways, I've been following a lot of these sketchbookers and people doing kind of crafty art, and people are so good. It's kind of inspiring to see everyone. I've always been more of a, you know, I illustrate what I need. I have a hard time just illustrating for fun. Just illustrating like, so that's what sketchbooking has become. It's going to become the sort of challenge to try and, you know, get that down. All right. I think this works. Let's get the bubbles in and let's reduce the density for a second. Okay, that's going to work. Bubbles, come here, you. technical pen. Give me a second. Balin's a bit oblivious. He's a little bit of a... There we go. Oh, anyways, let me talk about AK Pad today. He's pointing out the difference between Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, and I think most people would, probably and rightfully say that Jim Lee is the more accomplished and more refined artist by far. But he's also not as good in a lot of ways. Liefeld's the better comic artist because Liefeld can show action and sequentials without having to default to the sort of tableau posed figures, And the way AK Pad describes this, he called them all posterized, which that's not what posterized means, really. Posterized has to do with color treatment. But what he's talking about is they made these characters literally into posters. And there's one I even recognize. He opened up the gatefold cover on this one issue, and I had never seen it before. But as soon as he turned the page, it was the picture of Magneto that's everyone's seen because it was on a T-shirt. And not only that, there's bunches of them. There's a picture of Wolverine jumping out and everything, and all of these things they're just very idealistically posed. All right, there we go. Let's bring back our opacity, and let's flood fill our bubbles. How about you? How about you? There we go. Let's take out our pencil layer. I think that's good. I mean, I could do just a little bit more detail on the, let me get fountain inker out. On him, I mean, I've got him really washed out, but I could do there's his backpack. There's the shield. And so DeLuca is really saying, who had the better growth as an artist, and you can compare between X-Force 1 and the new X-Men 1 with Jim Lee. And there's no doubt that Jim Lee is far more accomplished, his anatomy is better and all that stuff. But who would you rather actually read comics from? And for me, it's definitely Liefeld. It's not even a contest. He's he just had an exciting way of rendering things. He had his own style. In a lot of ways, the kind of overly posed, rejection of sequential art in favor of pinups. We could kind of blame Jim Lee for a lot of that stuff. As good as he is. And the other thing is, why did they make him an editor? He doesn't really edit, as far as I can tell. I mean, if he is editing, he's doing a terrible job. Put him back to work drawing. He's obviously good at it. All right. Ooh, there's a lost line right there. All right. Anyhow, that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll finish this page up.